It was Father's Day, a day that was supposed to be filled with joy and celebration. Instead, it turned into a nightmare that unraveled the fabric of my life. My name is Jake, I'm 33, and my wife, Emily, is 32. We had been married for 7 years, and I thought we had a solid, happy marriage. That illusion was shattered in the most unexpected way. Emily didn't come home from work that night. It wasn't like her. She usually texted me if she was going to be late, so I waited, thinking she might just be caught up with something. But as the hours ticked by, worry gnawed at me. I called her work about 2 hours after she should have been home. They told me she wasn't there. Panic set in. I jumped into my car and drove the route she usually took to work, fearing she might have been in an accident. Her car wasn't at her work, so I drove the other possible route she could take home. I called the hospitals, the police, and got her family involved because, at this point, she was essentially missing. 4 hours after she should have been home, I finally got a text. I'm alive. Relief washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by confusion and anger. I called her immediately, and she answered, telling me she was working late, which was clearly a lie. She also sent a Snapchat message to a group that included her sister, stating she was alive. This updated her location on the Snap map. She was at a park and right about 15 minutes from our house. I drove there, heart pounding, dread settling in. When I arrived, I found her in the back of her coworker's car. The moment she saw me, her face turned pale. We talked, and the other man just sat there, hiding in his car. I asked if she loved him. She said yes. I asked if she was planning to leave me. She said yes again. From that point on, she moved in with him and only came back to our apartment the following Wednesday to pick up some of her things. We talked. It seemed amicable. She agreed to some of the bills we shared and sent me a payment for the car. But after that, she went silent. No responses to my texts. I was being ignored. Now, I'm living in the apartment we shared for 8 years, trying to dig out from under all our accumulated stuff, both physical and emotional. It's been an incredibly hard experience for me. I know divorce is the obvious next step, but I'm at a loss on how to move forward. I miss her, despite everything, and I can't help but hope she's okay. Just when I thought I was beginning to cope, another twist came. A few weeks later, I was going through some old emails, trying to find our insurance documents, when I stumbled upon something shocking. An email chain between Emily and another man, different from the one she left me for. It was clear from their conversation that they had been involved for months before she left. This wasn't just a one-time affair. She had been leading a double life. Devastated, I confronted her. She denied nothing, admitting that she had been unhappy for a long time and felt trapped in our marriage. The man she left me for wasn't the only one. There were others. She told me she had felt alive and free with these other men, something she said she hadn't felt in years. I was left reeling. This new revelation felt like another dagger to the heart. Determined to move forward, I decided to file for divorce. But just as I was about to finalize everything, I received a call from Emily. She was in tears, saying that the man she left me for had kicked her out. She had nowhere to go. She asked if she could come back home, just for a while until she got back on her feet. My emotions were a whirlwind: anger, sadness, confusion. Against my better judgment, I let her stay for a few days. During that time, we talked a lot. She apologized profusely, saying she had made a huge mistake. She wanted to try and work things out, to go to counseling and see if we could fix our marriage. Part of me wanted to believe her, to give her another chance for the sake of our history and the love I still felt for her. But the trust was gone. I couldn't shake the images of her with those other men, the lies she had told, the betrayal I felt. After a few days, it became clear that we couldn't just go back to the way things were. The wounds were too deep. In the end, I told her she had to leave. I needed to focus on healing myself, on moving forward without her. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it was the right one. She left, and I started the process of rebuilding my life from the ground up. Through it all, I learned a lot about myself. I realized that I had been neglecting my own needs and happiness for a long time. I started seeing a therapist, joined a support group for people going through similar experiences, and began focusing on my own well-being. Slowly but surely, I began to find my footing again. Today, I'm in a much better place. I've reconnected with old friends, picked up new hobbies, and even started dating again. The pain of Emily's betrayal still lingers, but it no longer defines me. I've grown stronger, more resilient, and more aware of what I want and need in a relationship. If there's one thing I've learned from this entire ordeal, it's that life is unpredictable. It can throw you the most unexpected and painful curveballs, but it's how you respond that truly defines you. I've chosen to move forward with hope and optimism, ready to embrace whatever the future holds. As I started piecing my life back together, another twist hit me out of nowhere. I received a letter in the mail from a lawyer. Emily was suing me for half of everything, including the apartment and the car. The woman who had betrayed me and left me in shambles was now trying to take what little I had left. Feeling utterly betrayed once again, I decided to fight back. I hired a lawyer and prepared for a grueling legal battle. The process was draining, emotionally and financially. Emily's claims were baseless, but the stress of the fight was overwhelming. Friends and family rallied around me, providing support and encouragement. It was a dark time, but their presence reminded me that I wasn't alone. In the midst of this legal turmoil, another shocking discovery came to light. I found out that Emily had been secretly funneling money from our joint account into a separate account for months before she left. She had been planning her escape all along, and the financial betrayal cut just as deep as the emotional one. I presented this evidence in court, and it completely turned the tide in my favor. Emily's claims were dismissed, and I was awarded full ownership of the apartment and the car. The victory was bittersweet. I had won the battle, but the scars of her betrayal were still fresh. Determined to rebuild my life, I threw myself into my work and personal growth. I started attending workshops, traveling, and meeting new people. Slowly, the pain began to fade, and I started to find joy in life again. One day, while hiking in the mountains, I met someone who would change my life forever. Her name was Sarah. She was kind, compassionate, and had a warmth that drew me in immediately. We started talking, and our connection was instant. We shared stories, laughed, and bonded over our love for the outdoors. As our relationship blossomed, I realized that Sarah was everything I had been missing. She understood my pain, but also encouraged me to move forward and embrace happiness. With her support, I found the strength to let go of the past and look forward to the future. Years have passed since that fateful Father's Day. Emily is a distant memory, a chapter in my life that taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and resilience. Sarah and I are now engaged, planning a future filled with hope and happiness. I've learned that even the darkest times can lead to the brightest beginnings. If there's one thing I hope others can take from my story, it's that life goes on. Even when it feels like the world is falling apart, there's always a chance for new beginnings, new love, and new happiness. It's a journey, and it's never easy, but it's worth every step.